Congressman Leavitt. I have here for presentation to you a commission in the Montana Forest Service as a volunteer fire warden. The history of this nation's use of its natural resources, and particularly of its soil and forests, is marred by an appalling wastefulness and carelessness toward the future. We now face the task of repairing past wastes and wisely using what is left. It is a tremendous task and one that calls for competent leadership. The nation's forests must be protected, and fire is their greatest single enemy. Your untiring work in the interest of conservation is both locally and nationally known. It gives me great pleasure to present to you this commission as a volunteer fire warden.
Mr. Secretary, I thank you. I consider it an honor to be enrolled in this fine group of workers and guardians known as the volunteer fire warden. And I assure you that when the occasion arises, I will exercise the authority of this commission.
I congratulate you, sir.
Thank you. I am interested in conservation, both state and national. Secretary Hyde has pointed out at various times the need for intelligent national use of our resources of land and water. In my home state of Montana, 29 of the 56 counties have an investment of $50 million in ranches and stock and are immediately tributary to the national forest. The safety of this investment depends on continued production of good feed on national forest ranges and a land policy guaranteeing stability of use by those most entitled to use these ranges. Water is vitally important to our health and our wealth. 48% of the 771,000 horsepower of 75 potential power plants in Montana is dependent on national forest runoff. 95% of the irrigated lands of Montana are in large part dependent on national forest watersheds. In other states, the conservation problem is similar. Denuded hills pour their soil down into the valleys and fill costly reservoirs built not only for irrigation but for water supply of great cities. Forest and grass-clad hills keep soil in place and facilitate the underground storage of water in vast quantities. Our national forests provide home and breeding places for 80% of our big game animals and for uncounted small game. From these forests come a natural distribution of game over the surrounding country. Timber sales provide a revenue, more than a third of which returns to the state. We are coming to see that health can be and must be conserved as our most tremendous and valuable social resource. Recreation is a vital factor in the conservation of health. We are becoming outdoor-minded. We long for the open road and the trails with the beauty of scenery, fishing, and camping. The number of visitors to the national forests, I am told, has in 10 years' time increased from 3 million to almost 33 million. These visitors not only are benefited themselves, but they spend money far and wide and add to the prosperity of various regions. Secretary of Agriculture Hyde has said that man's treatment of the soil reflects no credit on mankind, that man was placed in a garden and has transformed it into a desert. He has cut off the forest over large areas. He has burned the ground cover, exposing the soil to erosion. He has destroyed the vegetation and invited the running waters to carry away the soil. Our existence as a nation whose roots are in its soil and our future security demand that we shall not permit these resources to be squandered under any system of haphazard care, but that we shall plan wisely and now for their use, and so that their renewable riches shall be ever at our command. Conservation principle of the greatest good to the greatest number must be the promise that these huge investments I have mentioned, which have brought profit and happiness to so many and are so largely dependent on our forests, shall have the protection and insurance they deserve. Forests and grasses renew the soil, keep it in place, help prevent erosion, and store the rains that fall. Fire is the greatest enemy of these renewable resources, and that unfortunate time, the fire season, with its ruthless destruction, is a time when each of us should stop and think, resolve to be careful with fire, and to make prudent plans for the future use of our natural riches. My part shall be to work these worthwhile ends to the utmost of my ability, both when I am in Congress and as a volunteer fire warden when I am at home.